Hello everyone, good afternoon. Today I will discuss existentialism. Existentialism is a philosophical movement that began in mid to late 19th century. Existentialism emphasized the importance of meaning in one's life and one's ability to freely choose that meaning. The most important aspects of human existence now are their personal, subjective interpretation of their life. They also view personal experience and feeling as a valid guide for one's behavior. Although it is possible to trace the origins of existential philosophy, at least as far back as Socrates, who embraced the Delphic dictate, know thyself, and said an examined life is not worth living. Whereas one of the modern existentialists, no, or existential philosophers, si Kierkegaard yun ang natawag na father of existentialism. Though the book that he wrote, no, the book that he published, don't emphasize or did not say na he's a existential philosopher, pero uh, researchers says otherwise. Now we will talk about Soren Kierkegaard, or father of modern existentialism. As we go through Soren's life, there are four things that he stressed throughout his work, and these are religion as too rational and mechanical, truth is subjective, a love affair with God, stages of personal freedom, which he noted in his book Either Or. So Soren Kierkegaard is a Danish theologian born on May 5 in Copenhagen. He was the youngest of the family. Some sources say that he had seven siblings and they died. And those who are left is his older brother and him. He was constantly uh, being deaf in his life, no? Thus, the reason of publishing a lot of books. His father, who was 56 when Kierkegaard was born, was a prosperous, God-fearing merchant. Kierkegaard's mother was his father's servant before he made her his second wife. His father is a stern teacher thou of religion, and for many years, Soren see or equate him as Toan God thou, or with God. However, in 1835, his father confessed sexual excesses, and thus, he started rebelling in both his father and Christianity. He accepted both in his 25th birthday, which he called indescribable joy. His father died shortly and left a substantial amount of money. He studied also at the University of Copenhagen, studied theology, literature, and philosophy. Through those years in studying at the university, there he met Regina Olsen and asked for her hand. However, after a 2-year engagement, Kierkegaard felt there was a divine protest because the wedding was based on something untrue. Pero wala tayo niya emphasize on something untrue. Then they broke up. They ended their engagement, and there he went to Berlin and finished his book Either Or. All his life, Soren was very melancholic and withdrawn. Others saw him as a happy individual, but actually he was crying inside. Other sources, or some say that this melancholic daw side of him was because of his current condition daw. Okay. He had spinal disease. They didn't note or they didn't say if it's a hunchback or he has scoliosis. The following entry from 1836 exemplifies the difference between Kierkegaard's private and public side. I have just returned from a party of which where I was the life and soul. Wit poured from my lips, everyone laughed and admired me, but I went away and wanted to shoot him myself. Considering his subsequent influence in philosophy and religion, it is incredible to note that Kierkegaard died at the age of 44. Was an outspoken critic of the established church for its worldlessness and its insistence on the acceptance of prescribed dogma. He said that the most meaningful relationship with God was purely personal, one that was arrived through an individual's free choice and not one's nature and content were dictated by the church.
Religion as to rational and mechanical. In Kierkegaard's time, the Lutheran Church was the official church of Denmark. The state considered it its duty to protect and promote Lutheranism, which it did by requiring religious training in all schools and elevating the clergy or the priest into the status of bourgeoisie or the middle class. Kierkegaard felt strongly that such system of state of control and protection was against the basic tenets of Christianity, di ba? Kaya nagavow man na sila of vow of poverty and all. And the intensely individual nature daw of religion or religious experience was he thought discouraged by the system. Kaya di ba he believed that the most meaningful relationship with God was a purely personal and one's free choice and not dictated by the church. Kaya sa kaninga time, his enemies are the established Danish churchmen. He also rejected no science po daw kasi kay he thought it prevented us from viewing humans as choosing beings. In Hegel's philosophy, because it placed too much emphasis on logical and rational and not enough on the irrational, emotional side of human experience. The ultimate state of being, thou for Kierkegaard, was arrived at when the individual decided to embrace God and take God's existence and faith without needing a logical, rational, or scientific explanation. No, dili kanang mahisgutan po nato ang leap of faith which can be later be discussed. For Kierkegaard, he thought that he would not agree on Nietzsche's claim that God is dead. Siguro, he can agree that kanang people will say na koan God is dead, but because he thought na these people don't have a uh, personal or subjective experience or relationship with God, mo nang makaingon sila nga God is dead. Excuse me. Next is truth is subjectivity. According to Kierkegaard, no, truth cannot be taught by logical argument. Truth must be experienced. In the realm of religion, the more logical we are in our attempt to understand God, the less we comprehend Him. Believing in God is a leap of faith, so choosing to believe in the absence of any factual or objective information. When we say leap of faith, now it's a jump on a kuan in a dark. Now, even with uncertainty, even without factual information, now what will happen? Uh, believing in uncertain or unsure situation, no, you go kuan mo diretso gihapon ka ana that is leap of faith. Kay ana sila without risk there is no faith. So in the absence of practical objective information, God, who is unlimited and eternal, must be taken on faith that is very personal and subjective. Example here is kuan katong when God told Abraham to sacrifice his son. Di ba wala siya nagduha-duha nga i-sacrifice ang iyahang anak. To God, no, that exists and at the same time cannot be comprehended is a paradox. Leap of faith also is kanang mura pare-pareha siya sa bahala na attitude which us Filipinos have. No? A person no determined or challenging things even with risky or uncertain na mga outcomes. Example, OFW working abroad with uncertain outcome basin maka kuan basin maka makaamo og dili maayo or maayo ba kaha.
Next is a love affair with God.
Kierkegaard perhaps reflected on his ill-fated relationship with Regina Olsen, often referred to an individual's relationship with God as a love affair. It is simultaneously passionate, happy, and painful. He also said that one should read the Bible as one would read a love letter. That is, the reader should let the words touch himself or herself personally and emotionally. Let the words no touch the person or the reader kay sila man ang kuan kung para sa truth to subjectivity no na kanang the person only capable of interpreting the thought or the message na para sa iyaha is through being subjective. Okay, you don't read the love letter by kanang searching in Google what does this mean, no? What does this phrase mean? Okay, you feel it nga kanang you let the emotional koan kanang aspect of you to understand what it means. He also said here na as you do not read a love letter using a dictionary to determine the meaning of its words, neither you should read the Bible that way. The meaning of both the Bible and a love letter is found in the feelings it causes the reader to have. Your feelings and your interpretation define what in the experience is true for you. Stages of personal freedom. No, this stages of personal freedom was being written in his book Either or. No? He believed that there are kuan daw kana people na ay personal freedom. Kierkegaard offers stage of theory of what he calls personal freedom. Excuse me. Most people reside in the aesthetic stage. At this stage, people seek out many forms of pleasure and excitement. No, these are the people who are hedonistic. They enjoy pleasure and fun, which can lead later on in life with despair. Next is the ethical stage. People operating at this level accept the responsibility of making choices but use as their guide ethical principles and established by others. Sa ethical stage though, it is higher than the aesthetic stage. No, ethical stage follows being a conformist. Though the person who is in ethical stage most likely have or aware that they have the freedom to choose what path they would take, they would rather conform to what others are doing. So they follow the ethical principles established by the others. And lastly, the religious stage, which is the highest level of existence, as for Kierkegaard said, a religious stage is the kuan daw, people recognize and accept their responsibility and enter into a unique and personal relationship with God. These people tend not to conform, no, and they kanang kuan. they live in their own way. Mao ning giingon sa iyahang book po daw nga abandon all the kanang kuan daw illusions na ato ang kuan nga gina-take nato sa atong life, atong family, love food daw, so on and so forth. Next we will discuss is Friedrich Nietzsche. Friedrich Wilhelm Nietzsche. Born near Leipzig, was son of Lutheran minister and grandson of two clergymen. Nietzsche was 5 years old when his father died, and he grew up in a household of his mother, sister, two maiden aunts, and grandmother. Puro babae ang kauban niya sa ilahang balay daw. He was a model child and excellent student. By the time he was 10, he had written several plays and composed music. At the age of 14, he entered the famous Skolpurta, where religion was of his best subject. He also excelled in his study of Greek and Roman literature. And because of this, no, he became a professor in a school. When Nietzsche's favorite teacher, Friedrich, transferred from Bonn to the University of Leipzig, Nietzsche followed him there. No, Nietzsche's students' days ended when, at the age of 24, he accepted an offer he received from the University of Basel to teach classical philology, of study of ancient language, ideas, and word origins. Even before he had received his doctorate, He taught at Basel for 10 years before poor health forced his retirement at the age of 35. His most influenced book followed his academic retirement. Where so sa iya hapon no where religion was one of his best subjects, he also excelled in study of Greek and Roman literature. He entered Bonn University, where he expressed disgust for beer and drinking and carousing behavior of his fellow students. Some sources say na kanang he said daw there are two addicting addictive narcotics daw in history. First is beer or liquor. Second is Christianity. First, nganong beer? Because he thought, I no, why beer and Christianity or religion? Kasi both daw numb pain, which he said na should be expressed lagi daw. No? Okay, he thought na kanang repressed emotions daw must be expressed. Okay, mao ni iyang thought sa iyang philosophy, which later on na I will discuss. The Apollonian and Genesian. Nietzsche held that there are two major aspects of human nature, the Apollonian and Genesian. The Apollonian aspect of human nature that represents our rational side and our desire for tranquility, predictability, and orderliness. How, ang opposite niya, Genesian aspect of human nature represents our irrational side, our attraction to creative chaos, and to passionate dynamic experience. But he believed no, the person shall be able to control this both. Kay kuan kay para mag-strike og balance between the person kay kung Apollonian side lang more on kuan more lang on being rational, you know, kung sa kang Freud pa nga thought mahimong super ego lang or more on the moral side lang, which can be wrong kay if you focus on moral side murag kuan imong moral compass permintira sa sakto dili na ka sa kuan though di na ka consider og sayop kung both na ay Apollonian o Genesian aspect mag-strike og balance, no, the individual will be more productive and happy daw for him. And so Nietzsche as psychologist, much of what later appear in Freud's writings appeared first in Nietzsche. Furthermore, Freudian and Nietzschean psychology shared the goal of helping individuals gain control of their powerful, irrational impulses in order to live more creative, healthy lives. At the heart of Nietzsche's psychology is the tension between Apollonian and Dionysian tendencies. The Dionysian tendency, that which he referred as barbarian, could not express itself without destroying the individual. So, mo tong iyang giingon nga, dapat mag-strike og balance with ang Dionysian o Apollonian na aspect of self. For both Nietzsche and Freud, this sublimation explains works of art and other cultural achievements, and it also explains the content of dreams. Dreams provide an example of barbarian chaos modified by Apollonian rationality, which can also be kanang kuan daw with the Dionysian influence. Freud and Nietzsche also diverge. For example, Freud's superego, the internalization of external standards, serves to protect us from our own natural desires, a notion that Nietzsche would have utterly rejected. For Nietzsche, internalizing the external standards of others, such as the church or the social convention, was a bad thing. Another major disagreement between Nietzschean and Freudian psychologists. Ang sa iya hamang yun, other sources say nga kanang dapat lagi daw kuan, dapat ang imuhang mga repressed emotion dapat imuhang i-express. Kay he thought na kanang Christianity daw kanang murag gihold ba by envy. Kay for him, envy daw is more driving force for the individual. Kay kung being envy daw kay gives you more ambitious kanang kuan ka mangita gid ka og way para ma-achieve to nimo na iya yung gi quote as Superman or Uberman, which later I will discuss. The death of God. In the gay science, Nietzsche has a madman proclaim that God is dead and hail this as one of the most significant events in human history. When people ignore him, the madman concludes, I come too early. My time is not yet. He continues, this deed is still more remote to them than their remotest stars, and yet they done it themselves. What does he mean by this? Sa katong kuan, God is dead. Kay, for him, philosophers and scientists, no, kanang define God as kanang kuan, kanang if we define God objectively, he does not exist. Such kay kuan man, we don't have any tangible evidence na God exists. As for if you want to define what is God, it must be in a subjective and personal kuan kanang reason nimo kung kay Kierkegaard pa, God can be only kuan kanang known or defined if you have kanang subjective relationships between him. Okay, it is a paradox like the God is a paradox. Infinite yet cannot be comprehended. So convictions. In Human, All Too Human, Nietzsche said convictions are more dangerous enemies of truth than lies. He defined conviction as the belief in possession of absolute truth or any matter of knowledge. Kay convictions are more established na sa person bitaw, dili na gid ma-change. Unlike sa opinions nga can be molded, tentative, challengeable, and easily modified in light of new information. In other words, convictions are thought to reflect truth and opinions truth. Convictions reflect certainty, no? Or kuan kanang established na opinions probability. It is according to Nietzsche convictions that cause fanaticism, not opinions. Will to power. According to Nietzsche, the answer to our predicament can be found only within ourselves. Humans need to acquire knowledge of themselves and act on that knowledge. Meaning and morality cannot or should not be imposed from the outside. It must be discovered within. Such self-examination reveals that the most basic human motive is the will to power, or other sources say self-overcoming. Excuse me. Sa kadtong kang kuan pa, kang Adler nga, to attain superiority daw with kuan more driving force niya. Nga sa kani, kang Nietzsche, same lang gihapon kay he thought na the individual must strive hard to to face the kanang uncertainty in his life, and dapat ma-overcome ni niya kay mo daw na iyahang giingon nga self overcoming kay even with uncertainty or even with adversity in life, if this person can overcome it, there is growth lagi daw na mahitabo. Superman or the Ubermensch. The will to power is the tendency to gain mastery over oneself and one's destiny. If given expression, the will to power causes a person to seek new experience and to ultimately reach his or her full potential. Such individual growth cannot or should not be inhibited by conventional morality and thus must go beyond good and evil. So same sa ako ang giingon gaina no as to the will of kanang will to power. But kaning Superman was kanang misunderstood by the German nationalists or those Nazis lagi. Kay they handpick kanang some of the informations na gisulat ni Nietzsche para ma-fit sa ilahang goal. Misunderstanding of Nietzsche's Superman. Throughout history, scientific and philosophical works have often been distorted in order to support political ideologies. So sa time ni Koan, do patay na si Nietzsche ani no. Uh, but his books were published naman. There are points na or thoughts and ideas na gikuha or gihandpick lang sa Nazis were katong si Hitler na nag-spark para sa World War II. Nietzsche philosophy is an example. His philosophy was embraced by the German nationalists, the Nazis, who claimed that German people were the supermen whom Nietzsche referred. For the Nazis, supermen meant superior men, and the Germans were, they believed, superior, which in fact, mali ang pagsabot sa Nazi, so kanang national socialist or the Nazis kay what Nietzsche said about Superman was everyone no nga who is able to who is able to face adversities and becoming more powerful than ever. Ang sa kanilang ang pagsabot lang ni sa Nazis kay di take nila as kanang as they are the superior race which sparked the World War II. Kibali handpick lang og mga ideologies gikan sa ubang sa ubang philosophers para lang naa sila more established bitaw nga kanang kibali ilahang goal or ilahang vision para maka-boost pud og moral sa ilahang troops. Kierkegaard and Nietzsche as psychology. Nietzsche was apparently unaware of Kierkegaard's work, yet he developed ideas that were in many ways similar to Kierkegaard's. Like Kierkegaard, Nietzsche rejected that was conventionally accepted, such as the organized church and science. For both men, Hegelian philosophy was favorite target, and both men preach reliance on direct personal experience. However, no, some of their ideas are kanang kuan gid dili gid magpang-abot kay for for Kierkegaard the unconscious or the repressed emotions must be must be repressed. Ang kang Nietzsche must be expressed. So these ideas were being kanang gi kuhaan pod or influence other philosophy or other personal theories like kay Adler, kay Freud, later on in life, di ba, pareha katong kang Nietzsche nga. Though it influenced Freud's kanang theory, some of it are kuhaan lang niya kay especially katong ka Nietzsche nga the unconscious must be expressed, di ba kay though it must be expressed, dapat kang Freud dapat makontrol gihapon niya. So that's it. Thank you for listening.